right, everybody, welcome back to the Best Listener in the Room podcast. Appreciate you being here. So today we are talking about society's trash. And I got the idea for this episode based upon a comment that was left yesterday from someone who viewed yesterday's podcast. And so he wanted me to talk about this idea of trash. So in order to, as we dive in here, I'm going to start with the Bible that I was reading this morning, which is actually very connected to what I'm about to talk about when it comes to listening. And this is Timothy 1:3, leaders in the church. This is a trustworthy saying. If someone aspires to be a church leader, he desires an honorable position. So a church leader must be a man whose life is above reproach. He must be faithful to his wife. He must exercise self-control, live wisely, and have a good reputation. He must enjoy having guests in his house. He must be able to teach. He must not be a heavy drinker or be violent. He must be gentle, not quarrelsome, and not love money. He must manage his own family well, having children who respect and obey him. For if a man cannot manage his own household, how can he take care of God's church? So we're going to jump right into this idea of trash, okay? And I'm going to connect it back to this verse here in a second. So here's the scenario. You're walking down the street and you see a piece of trash. You see litter. And what does that do to you? What does society's trash do to you? Probably makes you mad. A lot of people, it's going to make you angry. When someone's being trashy, when someone's littering, when someone's making your space not beautiful, you're like, wow, that person's so rude. But the question that was posed to me is, what do you do? Do you pick up the piece of trash, or do you walk right by? And this comes back to listening. And so today we're going to talk about listening to self, because there's this internal compass called the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit will talk to you, but you must learn to listen. And you must obey the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is going to guide you. So when you see the trash on the floor, when you see the trash on the ground, your instinct is to pick it up. Ideally. Most people's instinct is to pick it up, but most of us will actually just keep driving. Why? Because it's going to be somebody else's problem. It's not your problem, it's their problem. And that adds up to a bunch of trash, a bunch of society's trash everywhere. Why? Because each person wasn't held accountable for themselves, and then each person then wasn't willing to pick up somebody else's trash, and then the trash adds up. When I was in high school, I had a job at a resort. And this changed me forever. The owner of the resort, it was a Hilton, and the owner was coming to our location, which was just like a huge deal. And everybody was on their best behavior. And I remember a story that was floating around, and I don't even know if this story is true, but they told it as if it were true. And that was, whenever the owner came to the grounds, you wouldn't know it was the owner. And if the owner caught you picking up a piece of trash anywhere on the grounds, he would walk up to you and give you $100. And I always thought that was so cool. If you got caught picking up the trash, he'd walk up to you and give you $100. And why would he do that? The owner was doing that because He saw in you, he saw in a person that was doing it without knowing he was there. He saw in a person that they loved his place as much as he loved his place. And he wanted to have a place that was beautiful for everybody. And so he wanted to reward that behavior. It's easier to pick up the trash in your own yard. It's harder to pick up trash in the shared alleyway space. And I know because I've done this. It is so selfish, but you go in the alleyway and you see the trash and you see what other people have done and you're like, wow, they're so bad. And then you open up the trash can, you throw in your trash and you're like, oh, those guys are slobs. And then you go back into your yard. And one week I decided we're not going to take it anymore. We're going to fight back. And we fought back in several ways. One of the ways was we got out there for 3 days in a row and we cleaned up everybody else's trash. And I pulled the weeds and it looked beautiful. As beautiful as an alleyway can look. But then the trash kept coming back. And I realized that there was a home that had a couple families living in it that were near us, and I think that they were overflowing the trash. So we contacted the city, not to turn in this family, but to ask for another trash can. And we clawed and scratched, and we finally got them to bring us another trash can. So now we have more trash cans than we need in the alleyway. The problem is, the trash kept being left everywhere. So at the end of the day, what we ended up doing was just understanding that we can either care about this or not care about this. And that's the integrity of a person, I think. What's the effect that you have on everyone else? I'd say this horrific assassination that happened against Charlie Kirk. And by the way, yesterday I said December. I didn't mean December. It was September 10th, the day before September 11th. I think that this horrific assassination has brought out some pretty trashy responses, shown the integrity of some people. You like someone or dislike someone, but to be as publicly trashy as some people have been, I think is disgraceful. But let's come back to the topic of personal integrity, because that's really what the topic is about today. Is becoming the person that you want to be, that you see yourself as this thing that is the goal that you want. But are you really doing the things that it would take to get there? Are you taking out your own trash? Are you taking care of the people around you? Are you building up something substantial? You can't expect God to come into your life and do miraculous things when you haven't taken care of your own household. If you're not prepared, why would you want the flood to come? Even if it's a flood of good, why would you want that? So today we're talking about listening to self, becoming the person that you know you want to be, that you know you're being called to be. Stepping into it and making these small choices consistently. It's all about small choices that you make over time, day in and day out, that turn you into the person that already is doing the thing that needs to happen before you become the person you're supposed to be. Pick up the trash, people. Pick up the trash. Society makes a lot of trash. It's time that we stop blaming, we stop pointing the finger, and we just get out there, each and every one of us, and we fight back. We fight back with love, we fight back with integrity, we fight back with accountability, and we pick up the trash. And it starts with you. It starts with each and every one of us doing what we can in our own sphere of influence. All right. Thanks for listening. This is the Best Listener in the Room podcast. We'll see you tomorrow.